The streets of downtown Atlanta buzzed with energy that evening. Neon lights reflected off shiny car hoods as music spilled from cafes and food trucks lined the sidewalks. The smell of roasted peanuts mixed with the faint scent of gasoline, creating the city's usual perfume. People rushed past each other, chasing dreams or just chasing the last bus home. Tiana Brooks clutched her worn leather tote bag tightly against her side. She had just finished a long shift at the diner, and her feet ached inside her cheap sneakers. Her apron, folded neatly in her bag, still smelled faintly of fried chicken and cornbread. She sighed, brushing her natural curls from her forehead as she leaned against a sleek black car parked outside a luxury hotel. The car was unlike anything she'd ever touched before. Its surface gleamed like glass under the streetlights, smooth and flawless. She leaned carefully against it, pulling out her phone to check the bus schedule. Her body begged for rest, and for just 1 minute, she wanted to feel like she belonged to this world of shiny things. Inside the hotel, Marcus King was finishing a business meeting. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a custom navy blue suit that cost more than Tiana's entire monthly rent. At 35, Marcus had built one of the biggest real estate empires in the city. People called him ruthless, ambitious, untouchable. He liked the sound of that. When Marcus walked out of the hotel lobby, he saw her instantly, a young woman leaning on his prized car, the car he had imported from Europe just 2 weeks earlier. His jaw tightened. "Excuse me," he said sharply, his deep voice echoing through the night. Tiana didn't look up immediately. She thought he was talking to someone else. She scrolled on her cracked phone screen, muttering, "Just one more bus. Please don't be late." Marcus's patience thinned. He stepped closer, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement. "I said, get off my car." Startled, Tiana lifted her head. Their eyes met, his sharp, dark gaze filled with irritation, her wide brown eyes tired but innocent. "Oh, sorry," she stammered, quickly moving her bag. "I didn't mean." Before she could finish, Marcus's hand moved faster than his thoughts. A sharp sound cut through the busy street. Slap. Tiana's head snapped to the side, her cheek burning. Gasps erupted from nearby pedestrians. A man paused mid-step, a woman covered her mouth, and even the hotel valet froze in shock. Marcus's chest heaved as his anger cooled into silence. For a split second, he felt powerful, as if he had defended his territory. But then he saw her, her trembling lips, the way her hand pressed against her cheek, her eyes filling with tears she refused to let fall. "You slapped me," Tiana whispered, her voice shaking but firm. The crowd around them grew still, waiting for her reaction. "I didn't know," she tried to explain, her voice breaking. "I was just tired. I was waiting for the bus." Marcus straightened his suit jacket, his pride unwilling to bend. "Next time, learn to respect what doesn't belong to you," he said coldly. Tiana's chest rose and fell as she swallowed the sting of his words. She wanted to scream, to curse, to fight back, but her dignity held her still. Slowly, she picked up her bag and stepped away from the car. "You'll regret this," she whispered, not as a threat, but as a promise to herself. And with that, she turned and walked into the night, leaving Marcus standing beside his gleaming car, unaware that the slap he had delivered so easily would change both of their lives forever. Tiana sat on the back seat of the bus with her head bowed, both hands cupping the side of her face. The slap still burned, not just on her skin but in her chest. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard it again, slap. Then the murmurs, the stares, the shame crawling over her like cold rain. A girl across the aisle whispered to her friend, "I saw the whole thing from the hotel steps." "Who slaps somebody like that?" "Rich people," the friend replied. "He acted like she was dirt." Tiana pulled her hoodie string tighter. She didn't want pity. Pity dug at pride. At the next stop, she stepped off into the night and walked the last few blocks home. Her building smelled like damp plaster and chili powder from a neighbor's pot. Upstairs, she unlocked a chipped door and slipped into a small studio apartment. One bed, one wobbly table, a hot plate, a narrow window framing the glowing city. She placed her tote on the chair and stared at the mirror above her sink. A pale handprint was bright on her cheek. "I'm not dirt," she told her reflection. "I'm not." She reached for a washcloth, pressed it to her skin, and tried to steady her breathing. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend, Kira. "Girl, you okay? I'm off in 10. Call me." Tiana called. Kira answered immediately, her voice alive with concern. "T, what happened?" "Somebody sent me a video of a guy slapping a girl by the Starling Hotel. I swear it looked like you." Tiana's stomach dropped. "There's a video?" "Yes, and people are mad. They're retweeting it like lightning." "T, say something. Are you okay?" "I'm okay," Tiana lied, then exhaled. "No, I'm not. He didn't even ask me why I was leaning there. I was tired, Kira. I was just waiting for the bus." "Who was he?" "Some rich dude. The valet called him Mr. King. Black, tall, expensive suit." Kira sucked her teeth. "Marcus King, the real estate billionaire? He just bought half the South Side. Girl, this is bad for him, I mean." "I don't care who he is." "You should," Kira said softly. "Not because he matters, but because your voice matters. Don't let his money write the story." After they hung up, Tiana set out her sketchbook. The pages were full of buildings, curved facades, community courtyards, small libraries glowing like safe harbors. She pressed the pencil down and drew anyway, though her hand trembled. Lines became a doorway. The doorway became a warm clinic, a place her mama would have loved. Her mama used to say, "Make a door where there's a wall." She closed the book and whispered, "Okay, mama." The next morning, the diner felt like a stage. Co-workers whispered. Customers peered. When the lunch rush began, Kira slid into a booth and signaled for water. Tiana brought it over, shoulders firming. "You trending," Kira murmured, phone in hand. "Look." On the screen, #Don'tTouch her and #hands-off. Under a freeze frame of Tiana's stunned face stood comments. "She's somebody's daughter." "He's out of line." Another read, "Respect is not a luxury car." "You want to say anything?" Kira asked. "I can help you write something." Tiana thought a long moment. "I'll say something after I calm down. I'm not trying to be a symbol. I just want to be me." "Be both," Kira said. "Be you, and let folks see what dignity looks like." At closing, Mrs. Ruth, the diner owner, pulled Tiana into the office. "Baby, take tomorrow off. Rest. And if anyone calls asking for a statement, you send them to me first." "You hear?" Tiana nodded, throat tight. "Thank you." As she walked home, a man on a bike rolled up beside her. "You the girl from the video?" he asked. She paused, lifted her chin. "Yes." "You ain't deserve that," he said simply and pedaled away. It was a small thing, a passing kindness, but it warmed a cold place inside her. She looked up at the city skyline, all that steel and light. "Make a door," she murmured again and kept walking. On Friday morning, Tiana visited the clinic where her mother used to work as a janitor. The waiting room was full, the air thick with Lysol and hope. She brought a box of homemade muffins, blueberry, because the nurses liked those best, and set them on the front desk. "Look at you," Nurse Val said, pulling Tiana into a hug. "I saw the video. You okay, baby?" "I'm all right," Tiana said. "My mama would have told me not to let that man ruin my spirit." Nurse Val glanced at her cheek. "Spirit's intact. But if I ever see him, I'll give him a piece of my mind." Tiana laughed a little, then walked down the hall to the small memorial wall where her mother's photo hung. Marla Brooks, 1969 to 2022. A smile that lit rooms. A backbone that held them together. Mama, Tiana whispered, I'm trying. School, work, all of it. I won't give up. After the clinic, she took the train to Georgia Tech's College of Design. Her scholarship covered most of tuition. 2 jobs covered the rest. She met Professor Hart in his glass-walled office, a soft-spoken man with gray locks and eyes that missed nothing. I heard, he said gently. You don't have to talk about it. I'd rather focus on the studio project, Tiana replied, lifting her sketchbook. The West End Community Wellness Center. Professor Hart smiled. Your concept is strong. But remember, a building must listen before it speaks. Tiana flipped to a page of diagrams. I added a courtyard where older folks can sit in the shade. A reading room for kids. A kitchen for nutrition classes. And a rooftop garden, so children can see something green in a city that tells them concrete is normal. Hart's smile deepened. You're designing a hug. It's what we need, she said softly. They reviewed site plans until the hour faded. As Tiana packed up, Hart added, By the way, Mrs. Eloise Carter from the Atlanta Land and Legacy Trust is giving a short lecture tonight, Land Without Displacement. She sits on the city zoning board now. You should go. Tiana's head lifted. The Land and Legacy Trust had helped keep her mother's building affordable all these years. I'll be there. That evening, in a modest auditorium, Eloise Carter, silver hair, dark suit, voice like a Sunday judge in a Saturday ante, stood at a podium. Development isn't the enemy, she said. Displacement is. Our question is not, how do we build, but whom do we build for? Applause rose like rainfall. Tiana felt a tug of purpose in her ribs. After the talk, she waited her turn in the line of students. Mrs. Carter, she said when she reached the front, I'm Tiana Brooks. Your trust helped my building. I'm designing a wellness center for West End. I want it to feel like home. Mrs. Carter studied her a long second. Your mother was Marla Brooks. Tiana blinked. Yes. You knew her. I didn't, Mrs. Carter said, but I've heard her name in the neighborhood. Hard worker. Big heart. Send me your concept. I mentor 2 students a year. I'd like you to be one. Tiana's breath caught. Are you serious? Serious as a city budget, Mrs. Carter said, eyes warm. Send it by Monday. On the train home, Tiana held her sketchbook like a treasure. The slap had humiliated her, yes, but it had also pushed the world to notice the person she already was. She wasn't grateful for the pain, but she refused to waste it. Marcus King's penthouse was a cathedral of glass and quiet. The morning after the video spread, he stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, jaw tight, watching the city he believed he owned. His phone buzzed. His chief of staff, Sloan Brandt, walked in without waiting. Crisp Bob. Crisp suit. Crisp truth. It's viral, she said flatly. You slapped a young black woman on camera. People are angry. I defended my property, Marcus replied, voice cool. Sloan didn't blink. You assaulted a pedestrian in public. Lawyers are circling. Activists are already outside one of our sites with signs. Let them hold cardboard, Marcus muttered. Sloan stepped closer. Marcus, listen. You're a black billionaire in a city still healing from displacement. Optics matter. Humanity matters more. He exhaled, slow. What's the plan? First, identify the woman and apologize directly. Not a check. A real apology. Second, community engagement. Something that isn't performative. Third, do not be defensive in public. Your pride is not a crisis communications strategy. He stared at her. You finished. No, Sloan said. There's a gala Saturday, Atlanta Land and Legacy Trust. Eloise Carter will be there. City Zoning Board members too. You want the West End project approved, those air rights over the old Ebenezer community block. You need Carter's blessing. And tonight, you need a statement. Marcus turned back to the glass. The city blinked at him like a skeptical cousin. Draft the statement, he said finally. I'll approve before noon. Sloane watched him a beat. Marcus, why'd you do it? He clenched his jaw. My father used to say, if you don't protect what's yours, this world will take it. He grew up with nothing. He fought for every inch. And he taught you to mistake people for threats, Sloane said. Correct it. When she left, Marcus looked at his reflection in the window. He saw a man who could buy city blocks, but not silence a single truth inside his own chest. He had been wrong. He remembered the woman's eyes. Hurt, yes, but steady too. He remembered how she whispered, "You'll regret this." A warning. A prophecy. His phone pinged again. A text from his sister, Jade King, a public school principal who measured success and saved children, not square footage. You embarrassed us. Fix it with humility, if you remember how. He placed the phone on the kitchen island like it weighed 100 pounds. Then he said the thing he had never learned to say out loud to anyone but himself, "I'm sorry." It sounded strange in the big room, small and human in all that cold space. The gala glowed inside the converted rail depot, a canopy of string lights, black art on brick walls, a jazz quartet pushing silk into the air. Community leaders, pastors, small business owners, teachers, city officials. Atlanta came dressed in purpose. Tiana wore a simple black dress Kira had found at a thrift shop and tailored on her auntie's sewing machine. She carried her sketchbook in a leather folder. Mrs. Carter's invitation had said, "Bring your work. Bring your why." Tiana had both. "Girl, you look like a gentle threat," Kira whispered as they walked in. "Like a storm that grows flowers." "Shut up and don't make me cry," Tiana laughed, palms a little damp. Across the room, Marcus entered with Sloane. Heads turned. A hum followed him like static. Sloane spoke low. "We keep it simple. Greet, apologize if you see her, donate without cameras, and do not pitch Carter tonight. Let your humanity speak before your ambition does." "Understood," he said, heartbeat thudding in his throat. Mrs. Carter took the stage and raised a hand. "Good evening. We are the city's memory and its mirror. We build so our children don't have to ask why there's no room for them. Tonight we honor 10 community guardians and invest in 10 more." Applause rolled and settled. During the mingle hour, Mrs. Carter found Tiana and Kira near the art wall. "There you are," she said, eyes bright. "Come meet some folks." They crossed the floor. As they approached a cluster of city officials, Marcus turned from a conversation and froze. The young woman from the video stood 5 feet away, chin lifted, eyes clear. Sloane inhaled. "Is that?" "Yes," Marcus said softly. "That's her." Mrs. Carter greeted the group. "This is Tiana Brooks, a student architect with a mind for healing spaces. She's one of my ments this year." Murmurs of approval. A city planner nodded. "We need more like you." Tiana felt pride rise in her chest, then felt a different heat as she realized who stood just beyond the circle. Marcus King's gaze met hers, cautioned by guilt, steady with intention. "Tiana," Mrs. Carter said, noticing the energy. "Do you know Mr. King?" "I know enough," Tiana answered evenly. Marcus stepped forward, voice low but clear. "Ms. Brooks, I'm Marcus King." He swallowed. "I'm sorry. For what I did. It was wrong. There's no excuse." The room tilted toward them. Conversation softened, like the building itself wanted to hear. Tiana weighed her words. "Do you know why it was wrong?" He held her eyes. Because I treated you like a threat to a thing instead of a person. Because I put my pride above your dignity. Because my power made me careless. She nodded once. That sounds like a start. I don't want anything from you, he added quickly. Not your silence. Not your forgiveness. I only want you to know I see what I did, and I'm ashamed. For a heartbeat, she saw not the man from the video, but a boy shaped by some fierce lesson. She said, shame is cheap if it doesn't change the price you make others pay. He almost smiled, grim, honest. Then I'll pay different. Mrs. Carter cleared her throat gently. Mr. King, Ms. Brooks is presenting a concept to the Land and Legacy Committee next month. It's for the West End Wellness Site. The old Ebenezer block, Marcus said before he could stop himself. Mrs. Carter's eyes sharpened. Yes. You have interest there, I believe. Sloane touched Marcus's sleeve. Not tonight, her eyes warned. Marcus nodded. I do. But tonight is not business. He turned back to Tiana. If you'll allow, I'd like to contribute to your project, in your name, under your direction. No press. Tiana's jaw tightened. I don't need your money to be real. I know, he said. That's why I trust you to tell me no. She studied him, then said, Let me think. Take all the time, he replied, stepping back. After he left, Kira let out the breath she'd been holding. Girl. He looked like a man standing outside his own house without a key. Tiana clutched her folder tighter. A key is earned. Mrs. Carter arched a brow. So is discernment. Come, child. Let me introduce you to the clinic director who's fought for that block since before you were born. They moved deeper into the room, while across the hall Marcus stood alone beside a painting of a city street at dusk. Orange sky, long shadows, a child drawing hopscotch squares in chalk. He stared at it until the noise faded and he could hear the pencil scrape memory into concrete. Days passed. The city moved like a great animal, restless but purposeful. The video cooled from trending topic to steady ember, but the conversation stayed warm, about respect, about power, about how easy it is for wealth to forget the weight of other people's days. Marcus sent a handwritten letter to Tiana's apartment, delivered by courier. No cameras, no logos, Sloane had said. Inside, on thick paper that felt too expensive for regret, he wrote, Ms. Brooks, I cannot undo what I did. I can only ask to be measured by what I do next. If you never wish to speak to me again, I will respect that. If you ever allow it, I would like to listen. Marcus King. Tiana read it twice at her wobbly table, the hot plate's small red light glowing like an eye. She set the letter beside her sketchbook and whispered, Listening is a verb, not a brand. That Saturday, she and Kira met Mrs. Carter at the West End site, 2 acres of cracked asphalt and stubborn scrub grass where the Ebenezer Community Center had once stood before a fire took it 20 years back. Children rode bikes around potholes. An elder watered collards in raised beds along the fence. Mrs. Carter pointed with her cane. We're standing on air rights and memory. A church trust still holds the air above this block. Folks think land is only what your shoe touches. They forget the sky can belong to somebody too. Tiana's eyes widened. Who holds the trust? Mrs. Carter's lips quirked. Ebenezer Trust, managed by a small board. I chair it now. Used to be Deacon Harold Brooks, your grandfather, held that role. My condolences. He was a prince. Tiana stumbled a step. My granddad. He never told me. He told your mama, Mrs. Carter said softly. She kept it quiet to keep you safe from hungry men. Tiana stared at the sky, full of planes and possibility. Her granddad had been a quiet man with soft hands and a laugh like a porch swing. Air rights. The words felt like a secret stairwell. Kira nudged her. Girl, do you realize what this means? It means we are not powerless, Tiana whispered. This block doesn't have to be sold to the highest bidder. It can be designed for us. Mrs. Carter nodded. Air rights can anchor affordability if we use them wisely. But it'll draw attention, and not always the good kind. Keep your plans close. On Monday, in Professor Hart's studio, Tiana pinned new drawings to the critique wall, a low, welcoming structure with a shaded courtyard, clinics along one side, classrooms on the other, and a rooftop garden like a green sigh. Hart stood back. It listens, he murmured. It really listens. Now it has a spine, Tiana said. Air rights make it possible. We build up just enough to invite light instead of blocking it. We keep shadows short. He smiled. You speak like a city whisperer. After studio, she walked out into the gold light of late afternoon and found Marcus waiting across the quad, hands in pockets, no entourage. He looked smaller without the suit, just a man in a dark sweater and careful silence. I know this is your space, he said, stopping several feet away. If you want me to leave, I will. Tiana's first instinct was to turn around, but her second thought was of her granddad's laugh, soft, patient. You can speak, she said. A little. I wrote you, he began. I read it, she replied. He nodded, throat moving. I grew up watching my father get disrespected. He taught me to strike first. But that's not protection. That's projection. I'm trying to unlearn. That's your work, she said. Not my homework. Marcus's mouth twitched, somewhere between a wince and a gratitude. Understood. They stood with the quiet between them until he said, I heard you're working with a land and legacy trust, and that you have a personal tie to the old Ebenezer block. I do, she said, not offering more. I also have interest there, he admitted. But not tonight. Not here. He took a breath. If you allow, I'd like to fund scholarships in your mother's name at your program. Anonymous, if you want. Tiana watched his face. Why? Because she raised a builder, he said simply. And because I want to put something back that isn't just concrete. She looked down at her sketchbook. Scholarships change lives. But I won't be your redemption story. He nodded. Then let me be background help. Silence again. The campus fountain whispered like rain. At the gala, she said slowly, you said you'd pay different. Paying different isn't money first. It's listening first. I can learn, he said quietly. Then listen to this, she replied. The wellness center stays community-run. No luxury condos hovering over it. No bait and switch. No ribbon cuttings that cost more than a classroom. He swallowed. If I'm involved at all, it'll be on your terms. Good, she said. Because this time, I'm the door. You want to come in, you wipe your feet. For the first time, he smiled, a real one, small and apologetic. Yes, ma'am. She turned to go. Tiana, he called softly. Thank you for not turning me into an object the way I turned you into one. She paused without looking back. I'm not a mirror to flatter you. I'm a window to the future I'm building. Then she walked away, and Marcus stayed still, feeling the heat of a small fire inside him, a fire that didn't burn others to keep him warm, but burned his old pride to light a better path. The following week, the city hummed with whispers about Marcus King. Some called him arrogant, others applauded his apology at the gala. Yet, for Tiana, the noise didn't matter. She was focused on her designs, her classes, and the thought of Mrs. Carter's mentorship. Still, Marcus kept appearing, always at a respectful distance. He sent no more letters, but Tiana noticed him at community meetings, sitting quietly in the back, listening instead of speaking. Once, she saw him help an elder carry folding chairs after a block association meeting. Another time, he stood in line at a food truck, paying for everyone behind him but refusing to let anyone take a photo. Why is he showing up everywhere now? Kira asked one afternoon as they walked home from class. Maybe he's trying to learn, Tiana replied, though her tone was skeptical. Or maybe he's trying to win you over, Kira teased. Tiana rolled her eyes. I'm not some prize in a game. But later that night, as she sat sketching by the dim light of her lamp, she couldn't help but wonder. Was Marcus really changing, or was this another performance? Meanwhile, Marcus wrestled with questions of his own. He had money, connections, and influence, but none of it mattered in the face of Tiana's defiance. For the first time in years, he wanted not to control someone but to earn their respect. He thought of his father again, the old man who had died bitter, clutching his pride like a shield. Marcus had inherited his empire, but also his emptiness. Not me, Marcus muttered to the dark. Not anymore. The turning point came at a community forum about the West End Wellness Center. Tiana presented her designs to a packed room, her voice steady, her drawings projected on a screen. She spoke about gardens, classrooms, healing spaces, and the power of design to honor a neighborhood's history. When she finished, the crowd erupted in applause. Elders nodded, children clapped, even city officials leaned forward with interest. Then, unexpectedly, Marcus rose from the back of the room. The murmurs grew louder. Some crossed their arms, suspicious. I don't deserve to speak after Miss Brooks, he began, his voice low but carrying. But I need to say this, she's right. Development without dignity is destruction. If the board approves this project, I'll step aside from any competing interests I had. This land belongs to its people. And if she allows it, I'll support, under her leadership, not mine. Gasps rippled through the room. Some clapped cautiously. Others looked stunned. Tiana's chest tightened. He was giving up millions in potential profit. Was it real, or another performance? She locked eyes with him, searching. For once, she saw no arrogance, only a man stripped of armor, standing bare before his own community. The crowd buzzed. The tide was shifting. The city was divided. Some praised Marcus's humility. Others sneered, saying he was just trying to save face. Activists called for him to do more. Business partners worried he was losing his edge. Marcus's board of directors called an emergency meeting. In the glass tower conference room, one man slammed his hand on the table. You're throwing away profit. That land was gold. Marcus sat calmly at the head of the table. Profit without people is poison. We're not poisoning this city anymore. Another board member scoffed. You've gone soft. Sloane leaned forward, her tone sharp. He's gone human. Get used to it. Because this move saved us from lawsuits and boycotts that would have cost more than any condo ever could. The room went silent. Meanwhile, Tiana faced her own storm. Reporters camped outside her apartment building. Strangers slid notes under her door, some supportive, others cruel. One night, a brick with a nasty message was thrown at her window. Kira stormed into the apartment, furious. This is too much. You don't owe this city your peace. Tiana hugged her arms tightly. I know, but maybe this is bigger than me now. Later, she received a call from Mrs. Carter. Child, are you holding up? Trying, Tiana admitted. Good. Because you're about to be tested. When the city gives you a platform, they'll try to shape your voice. Don't let them. Speak your truth. That's the reckoning, not for him, but for you. The reckoning came at a live town hall broadcast on local television. Marcus and Tiana were both invited to speak about the future of the West End project. The hall was packed. Cameras flashed. The moderator asked Marcus first, Mr. King, why step back from a project worth millions? Marcus cleared his throat. Because I finally realized money can't buy trust. And I don't want to be remembered as a man who built towers but left his people in shadows." Applause rose. The moderator turned to Tiana. "Ms. Brooks, do you accept Mr. King's support?" Tiana inhaled slowly. "This project isn't about me or him. It's about every child who deserves a safe place, every elder who deserves dignity, every neighbor who deserves a voice. If Mr. King's support aligns with that vision, then fine. But let it be clear, I don't need him to lead it. I'll lead it myself." The crowd erupted, clapping, cheering, some even standing. Marcus bowed his head slightly, humbled. For once, he wasn't the headline, she was. And he accepted it. That night, the city buzzed again. Some said the slap had broken Tiana. But the truth was the opposite. The slap had revealed her strength and forced Marcus King to reckon with his own soul.